What is the meaning of life if not to be wasted? This phrase could perfectly encapsulate the thought of Georges Bataille, a philosopher who dedicated his entire existence to exploring the extreme boundaries of human existence between excess and transgression, guilt and desire. Georges Bataille was born on September 10, 1897, in Billem, France. His father suffered from neurosyphilis, a condition that left him blind and paralyzed. His mother faced severe emotional difficulties, likely due to her husband's illness, and attempted suicide on at least 2 occasions. These family experiences profoundly shaped his worldview. In 1914, he converted to Catholicism and considered pursuing an ecclesiastical career by enrolling in a seminary. However, in the following years, he gradually distanced himself from faith until he abandoned it entirely a few years later. After leaving the seminary, he enrolled at the École Nationale des Chartes in Paris, a prestigious institution dedicated to the training of archivists and paleographers. In February 1922, he obtained his degree and later continued his studies in Madrid, further deepening his knowledge. Upon returning to France, he worked in a library as a numismatist, specializing in the study of ancient coins. Throughout his career, he came into contact with prominent intellectual figures of the time, such as Marcel Mauss and André Breton. In 1928, he published the novel Story of the Eye under a pseudonym, one of his most provocative and controversial works, in which he explored the themes of eroticism and transgression. In the following years, he founded journals such as Documents, through which he delved into concepts related to anthropology, philosophy, and art. His works often addressed themes of transgression, sacrifice, and the relationship between eroticism and death, drawing inspiration from the ideas of philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche and Sigmund Freud. During the 1940s and 1950s, he continued to develop his philosophical theories, publishing works such as Inner Experience and The Accursed Share, in which he analyzed the concepts of sovereignty and expenditure as essential aspects of human existence. The period in which he lived was marked by profound upheavals: the 2 world wars, the social and cultural transformations of Europe, and the emergence of new philosophical movements. These events influenced his thinking, leading him to develop a vision of human existence as a continuous tension between order and chaos. According to Bataille, man is intrinsically driven to surpass the limits imposed by society, seeking authenticity through excess and transgression. In one of his reflections, he stated, "There is no sovereignty except on one condition, not having the effectiveness of power, which is action, the supremacy of the future over the present moment, the supremacy of the earth." This perspective underscores his belief that the true essence of human existence lies in the ability to live intensely in the present, abandoning concerns for the future and social conventions. His personal life reflected his theories. After marrying actress Sylvia Mackless in 1928, from whom he divorced in 1934, he had an intense relationship with Colette Peignot, whose death in 1938 deeply affected him. In 1946, he married Diane de Beauharnais, with whom he had a daughter. A central aspect of his thought is the concept of expenditure or waste, an idea that overturns the traditional economic logic based on accumulation and profit. According to him, modern societies are founded on a principle of utility that drives individuals to focus their energies on production and the accumulation of resources, neglecting the importance of what he calls unproductive expenditures. These, on the contrary, represent the very essence of human life, which finds its most authentic meaning not in preservation, but in loss and dissipation. From this perspective, waste becomes an act of sovereignty, an expression of absolute freedom that allows one to transcend the limits imposed by society and morality. In The Accursed Share, one of his most significant works, Bataille introduces the concept of general economy, which stands in contrast to the restricted economy based on saving and accumulation. According to this perspective, the surplus energy produced by a society is dissipated through activities such as luxury, ritual sacrifice, festivals, war, and destruction. In this view, every civilization must confront its surplus, choosing whether to use it for expansion or for acts of consumption without practical purpose. Bataille cites examples of general economy in the ritual practices of ancient civilizations, such as the potlatch of the indigenous tribes of the Pacific Northwest coast, where goods were either destroyed or redistributed to assert power and social superiority. Bataille argues that life itself is fundamentally tied to waste. Life is always, to some extent, a useless consumption, and he asserts that the true expression of freedom manifests when individuals cease to be slaves to productivity and embrace expenditure without any tangible return. Eroticism, sacrifice, luxury, and even death are interpreted as forms of extreme expenditure, moments in which the fullness of human existence is experienced. In this sense, the concept of sovereignty is not linked to domination over others, but to the ability to break free from the logic of profit and embrace excess and loss. In L'Abbé, one of his well-known novels, he explores the relationship between the sacred and the profane, highlighting the contradictions inherent in human nature. His writing, often provocative, aimed to challenge moral and social conventions, encouraging the reader to confront their deepest fears and desires. The relevance of these reflections emerges in the way Bataille analyzed the society of his time, denouncing the obsession with work and productive efficiency as forms of alienation. He argued that man was not made to work, but to celebrate and then burn. This idea encapsulates his critique of modernity and the extreme rationalization of existence. In his view, expenditure is not merely an accessory element, but a fundamental aspect of human experience, a bridge to transcendence and the overcoming of the limits imposed by economic rationality. Ultimately, Bataille sees waste as the possibility of rediscovering an authentic sense of being, freeing oneself from the constraints imposed by society and accessing a deeper and freer dimension of existence. His theories, though radical and provocative, offer a fascinating perspective for understanding the paradoxes of contemporary society and the innate human need to go beyond the boundaries of productivity and reason. His health, already compromised by a chronic lung disease, worsened in the final years of his life, leading to his death on July 8, 1962, in Paris at the age of 65. His thought left a profound mark, influencing numerous fields of contemporary knowledge, from philosophy to art, and even psychoanalysis. Thank you for watching until the end. See you soon.